All right. Welcome to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, guys. Definitely miss y'all. Hope you guys had an amazing weekend. I had a pretty eventful weekend. Obviously, graduated. Yeah, thank God. All y'all, college graduates out there can definitely feel, what I'm kind of, going through. It's kind of nice not to have to worry about school anymore and kind of balancing school, full-time, school, job, husband, father, working this awesome internship, 100%. But maybe if you guys were in high school and you're like, hey Eric, I'm dealing with some high school drama too. There was this, rumor going around. No, I'm just kidding. Not gonna get into all that. I'm not gonna get into all that. That's not what this is all about. This is the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, the best wrestling podcast in the world. Well, enough guild in the lily. And yeah, let's go ahead and get on into it. Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you lined up today. We're going to talk about our WWE Smackdown review. We're also going to talk about our WWE Monday Night Raw preview that's going on right now. Right now, can't wait to watch it. Going to give you guys some live feeds on YouTube. It's going to be super dope. Check them out. Like, comment, subscribe. Superman punch it all. So, make sure you do that. And furthermore, we're going to talk about how the WWE PLEs, thanks to TKO and president of the UFC board, Dana White, has deemed, WWE's going back to Sundays. And I don't think it's completely that bad, but like I said, we'll get on into it. And I think it's only during the UFC like fight night weekends. So I think there might be a little wiggle room in there, but we'll get into it a little more. Fourth segment, we're going to talk about this newly segment I introduced. It's called Memorial Monday. We're going to get into the legacy, the life, the career of one of the a wrestler that's passed. Today we're going to talk about Owen Hart of the Hart Foundation. Obviously, rest in peace, my man. So we're gonna do our best to kind of honor him. So yeah, and then we're gonna end it all off with our wrestling power rankings. I'm gonna give the top 10 wrestlers from WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, NW, all of it. All the wrestlers are gonna one top 10. Obviously, this list is completely and utterly like it's objective to a point, but it's also subjective. You know what I mean? Like as a host, as a content creator, you're like, it's hard to kind of not put your opinions and stuff like that. And by all means, I think you guys will ultimately agree with this list. Obviously, if you guys have any any feedback or any like, hey, like, dude, Eric, what are you smoking? What you smoking, no, Joe? Like, by all means, go ahead and give it a round. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Today we're gonna focus on the power rankings for the men's. Tomorrow we will talk about the power rankings for the women's division. So yeah, well, before we jump into any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. We want to hear from you as a podcast. Definitely, any podcast. We love a little bit of interaction from the WWE universe, just the professional wrestling. Or if you're a sports fan, if you stumbled upon this podcast, and if you're like, if you're clicking that, you know what? No, I don't want to. I don't want to watch this guy anymore. Dude, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Give it a shot. You may never know. So we get a number of questions from viewers like you. So don't be afraid to hit them up. Don't be afraid to tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want me to like further elaborate on more, or if you just want to start up a wrestling conversation, definitely tell me where you're from. Be like, hey, yo, this is Augustine, checking in from Indonesia or something like that. Hey, like hell, like just anything, absolutely anything. Like you can hit up the chat, talk about good old fashioned wrestling. So, to ensure your question gets read on air, I ask you guys once again to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it, so we can talk about it. It really helps the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we love peace, love, and positivity, 100%. And yeah, once again, the link is the GSMC podcast.net. So let's go ahead and get on into our first segment. We're going to talk about our WWE Smackdown review. It was really good. Honestly, kind of counting down the days toward Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And so far I haven't really had any problems with the way WWE has kind of had their matches, their promos and stuff like that, because I think they've done really, really well. And definitely love the fact that Paul Levesque is definitely pushing a lot more young talent. You can see it in the King of the Ring tournament. You can see it in Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that. So let's get on into it. So we had WWE Smackdown. We started off with Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton. And of course, the heel Tiffany Stratton had to start off with the rake in the eyes classic, but it's smart. But it's smart. And I don't know. The whole time, Tiffany Stratton was trying to find a way to kind of like not cheat her way to win, but kind of like find a way to ultimately get the upper advantage by doing things that weren't, legal. That's cheating, guys. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to justify it. It's like I'm a lawyer or something. It's like, if I was a lawyer, man, that'd be awesome. No, I'm just kidding. I would fold in like 3 seconds. I'm not good with confrontation. I'm not good to, be like, hey, like you're lying. I'd be like, yes, I was. I'm just kidding. No, start bawling my eyes out. I'm just kidding. No, maybe. But yeah, no, and Bianca obviously for with the KOD for the win. Honestly, I like Bianca kind of moving on here. I think Tiffany Stratton is she's a young up and coming talent, definitely. But obviously after what has happened, like that surfaced on social media about her remarks and stuff like that due to her social media post, I don't think this is going to stop her momentum a little bit. I do think that maybe Paul Levesque is kind of like, all right, maybe we need to take Tiffany off of the spotlight for a little bit, kind of let it fizzle out, kind of let her, because recently she did have a title shot with Bayley in a triple threat match, and she was in this Queen of the Ring tournament. And honestly, I think maybe if those social media posts never really surfaced, perhaps maybe she would have got the win from Bianca Belair. Because, like we're gonna talk about later on in the show, you saw Jade getting eliminated by Nia Jax. But I don't know. It was interesting to see where WWE was going to take that before all this, negative publicity and turmoil, surfaced in the professional wrestling world. So definitely something kind of, something crazy, something crazy. And after the match, Bianca was greeted, and she was, she was interviewed, and she just basically kind of gave away the reason why she's going to lose her next match, which is cool and all. I like that, but she started off. She's like, "I'm not gonna lie, my knee isn't at 100%." Dude, that's a loser talk. That's loser talk. I'm just kidding. No, no, you're not a loser, Bianca Belair. You're by far a winner. So, but I didn't like how Bianca said that. But once again, it could be set in like a promo and stuff like that. Obviously, we're gonna find out. Well, you already know who she's gonna fight. She's gonna fight Nia Jax, and we'll get more to that a little later. But yeah, then you saw a promo with Jade and Belair where you kind of saw you kind of saw them interviewing Jade, and Bianca was like, yeah, like we're gonna do this, we got this. And Jade would kind of looked at her, she's like, yeah, we're tag team champions, but if I get a chance at singles competition gold or singles competition glory or the Queen of the Ring win, I'm gonna take that, girl. Like, already kind of creating this up like this subconscious like intensity between the two. Like obviously it's good. The competition's good. Even competition good, among teammates and stuff like that, ultimately brings the best out of you. So I don't know if that's the kind of promo that maybe Paul Levesque was trying to hit at, but I was just getting vibes that I don't think this tag team is gonna last. Jade Cargill, huge ego. Bianca Belair, probably one of the biggest egos in the women's division that I've seen in possibly the longest time. And that's not a knock on any of them. Absolutely 100%. The fact that they became WWE Women's World Tag Team Champions, this and which I completely kind of disagreed with. I hated it. Absolutely tainted the women's tag team division. You put two top single stars together in a tag team. For my opinion, honestly, the best way for them to lose the title is for them to fight. Kind of get into it, kind of creating that, and we're getting to we're going to talk about them later on. Kind of like that Owen Hart and Bret Hart, like two brothers, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, portraying as like maybe perhaps like two sisters and stuff like that. But ultimately, like it creates better content when two single stars are doing what they do best, singles competition. Not like into diving their feet into tag team division just because they want the brand to kind of like the brand to kind of have the world tag team division for the women's kind of like skyrocket or just seem like bigger than it actually is, because you don't have to do much, because the women's tag team division is absolutely on fire already. Definitely 100%. That's something that if you haven't seen that as a wrestling fan, definitely open your eyes, take a look. And you will agree with me that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill holding these titles is ultimately bad for the women's tag team division. And I'm going to say it. I'll probably get a lot of scrutiny, a lot of hate, but to be honest, I think it's terrible. That's just me. So, it was kind of cool to kind of see that promo. It was great to kind of see that subconscious intensity, that maybe that sense of like that aroma of like jealousy or something like that. So, definitely excited to see that. Still the bloodline creating, bloodline drama still plaguing the, WWE Smackdown, and still Paul Heyman has not spoke to Roman Reigns, and it's pretty crazy. And Solo Sikoa still claims that Roman Reigns puts him in charge of the bloodline. We don't know who's telling the truth here. We honestly, and I kind of like the way that WWE's kind of doing it, kind of surfacing perhaps a problem that could be foregone in the future, where Solo Sikoa doing his thing, running the young bloodline, and then he gets caught off with the, kind of got caught off with the, Roman Reigns kind of thing. I don't know. This kind of reminds me of like if any of you guys ever watch like basically any movie, including a monarchy with a king and a prince. When the king is gone, or he's ill, or he went off to fight battle, you usually have the young egotistical prince putting his fingerprints everywhere, treating everybody like crap, kind of like trying to run the show here, And the moment, the emperor, the king, the chancellor, who, whatever monarchy, comes back. And the whole time the prince was like, "Oh, I was doing it on your behalf," and I thought, and everybody was like, "Dude, didn't you speak to the king? And didn't you say this, the king?" It's kind of like an effed up game of like telephone. Like you don't know who's talking on the other line. And honestly, I doubt Roman Reigns would ever put anybody in charge of the bloodline except for himself. But what if he did? What if he did? What if he called up Solo and he was like, "Hey man, Solo, I'm gonna need you to take out Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. I'm gonna need you guys to be completely rampant." Like, which I doubt, because I feel like Roman Reigns was kind of more like he was kind of like he was mouthy. He was very mouthy, but he was more or less kind of like a quiet, like mellow. Like when you had the promos going on with The Rock and Cody Rhodes, there was a point where at least me, speaking on my perspective, that I was like, wait a minute. Cody's fighting Roman for the championship at WrestleMania night two. Not really. You're like, whoa, whoa. Like for me, I knew that was kind of like a gimme, kind of like just like a taste test to see what WrestleMania is going to, WrestleMania 41 has in store at the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas. So let's go ahead and move on. So Solo Sikoa says he's in charge of the bloodline, and he says all the time, the whole time, wise man, you have to be my wise man. And Paul Heyman a bit reluctant. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And you saw Tomatonga versus LA Knight. And once again, the bloodline pays dividends. They're constantly out there. They're constantly helping whoever's wearing that tribal chief, banner. But I don't know. I just hate it that they constantly get involved. But that's the bloodline. That's the reason why people, hate them. Obviously, if you have me talking on a wrestling talk show, podcast about it, you're kind of doing your job well. So, definitely expect more of that from the bloodline. That's what the bloodline does well. They piss off and they get the fans' blood boiling, like they're cheating. Cheaters, you're a phony. But it should be interesting to find out when Jacob Fatu makes his debut. I don't know if it's going to be in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I think the debut is mostly for uh, Uncle Howdy at that point. Doubt Clash at the Castle. Doubt Clash at the Castle. But although I think that was when Solo made his debut. I think that's when Solo Sikoa made his debut to screw over Drew McIntyre. Could be wrong. No, I think he debuted to screw over Cody at WrestleMania. I think that might be the case. Don't quote me on that. If anybody in the chat knows the real story, like hit me up. Tell me. Give me some knowledge. Don't let me stand up here and babble on and on like an idiot. Just kidding. So LA Knight is gone, which kind of, I kind of thought he was going to be. Uh, him and Jake Paul, no, Logan Paul, had a confrontation, had a face-to-face moment in the back of the locker room, and I ultimately think that's going to be the next SummerSlam match. So I bet you they're going to start building up, start, trying to get that totem pole of momentum going. So you see the megastar, against the YouTube star, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I don't know who's going to win out of that one, so it should be awesome. Tama Tonga moves on. Next, you saw the contract signing. You saw Nick Aldis as the mediator. Indeed, you saw champion versus champion. Logan Paul ripped up the contract at first because he said it's not champion versus champion, and that was kind of what kind of baited Cody Rhodes into this match because he's never won the United States Championship. He wants to become a Grand Slam champion. That's an accolade that's eluded his career throughout his tenure in WWE. But I just, I think it was smart. I think it was smart by Logan Paul just to get him in the ring because Cody Rhodes could have been like, for my title, like, why do I gotta say yes? Like, but he was he was pissing him off. He threw the contract at him, just absolutely egging on Cody Rhodes, which was great. Which was great for Logan Paul. I feel like there's something that, although people might hate Logan Paul, he has done everything to kind of. He puts a lot of prestige on not the championship, of course, but more or less the fight within itself. He kind of takes the point. He kind of wants people to get angry. He wants to get in the head of Cody Rhodes. He wants to bait and switch, and he wants to cheat, steal, and stuff like that. But something great that Logan Paul does really, really well. And I dig it. I think it's super awesome. I think Logan Paul is going to be a top star, but this champion versus champion, I knew it wasn't going to work out from the beginning. And ultimately, that wasn't the case, which I'm, kind of happy that it's not. But it's going to be for Cody Rhodes' title. Kind of smart booking by Paul Levesque, putting like obviously, people from Saudi Arabia know who Logan Paul are. Obviously, people from Saudi Arabia know who Cody Rhodes is, the American Nightmare. And you're going to have one big, like, huge main event. And right now, honestly, everyone that could have potentially fought Cody Rhodes for the championship in Saudi Arabia, I honestly don't think that anybody could fill that role besides Logan Paul. So, the fact that they kind of did this, it seemed like it was wrong from the beginning. The moment he came out, he challenged Nick Aldis said, "Your next challenger isn't." He's like, like even myself, I was like, dude, this is stupid. This is dumb. You just basically erased another big match that Logan Paul could have had against, like, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, LA Knight, or, pick your choice of whoever's going to fight for the United States Championship. But I like it. I like they kind of went, they kind of headed out. So, yeah. So next we had Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill fought against Nia Jax. Nia Jax, she won by disqualification, ultimately like trying to embarrass her in front of her family. I thought it was good. I honestly thought it was good. Nia Jax kind of moving on there because Jade fighting Belair, you kind of had to have one of them lose. The moment I saw Belair won, I kind of knew that they were going to make Jade lose. But obviously, I'm not a mind reader, but I thought that would have been the best way to kind of go about it. So now you have the Irresistible Force against the EST of WWE. And like Bianca Belair says, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not at 100% with my knee. So I, heavily predict that Nia Jax will move on to the finals in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. All right, next you saw DIY in a tag team match. Real quick, we're running out of time here for our first segment against Legado del Fantasma. Once again, DIY, showing that they're a formidable tag team and they're building up momentum. I really honestly hope they're the ones to take down A-Town Down Under. I kind of hate the fact that they keep having Legado del Fantasma lose. I think for like any heels to kind of work in any division for the championship, Intercontinental, United States, WWE, whatever. You ultimately kind of need the bad guys to win a couple here and there, even if it takes them stealing one. So I think WWE should definitely start building that momentum toward Legado del Fantasma, because honestly, if you don't have them in the, I know right now you have heels as champions. Yeah, and I get that and stuff like that. But you have a whole bunch of baby faces. I think right now WWE in terms of baby face and heels, it's kind of offset. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Next, you saw Carmelo Hayes versus Randy Orton for the King of the Ring. King of the Ring not qualifying, semifinals, quarterfinals match going on to the semifinals. Love Carmelo Hayes. I love the fact that he was able to kind of push Randy Orton to his limits. Obviously, Randy Orton's not at 100% as well, foreshadowing his opponent, Tama Tonga. will probably, with the help of the bloodline, defeat Randy Orton. But Carmelo Hayes, this was one of those matches, like I keep, talking about in terms of wrestling and stuff like that. Like you lose, but ultimately you win. Carmelo Hayes, he was against the Viper, the Legend Killer, the guy who's been around in the business for I think 10, 15 plus years. Like this is Randy Orton we're talking about here. And he was able to, go blow for blow. He was able to go submission for submission. He was attack after attack, strike after strike. Carmelo Hayes was there. Definitely wish the best. And I really honestly hope, and I can see it, that Carmelo Hayes is going to get a huge push going toward WWE. So like I said, now we got Orton versus Tamatonga. RKO already showing some heavy fatigue, perhaps foreshadowing what's going to happen next. So, uh, definitely, it's going to be hard for Randy Orton. It's going to be hard for Randy Orton. Well, guys, don't go anywhere. Make sure you stay tuned for this WWE Monday Night Raw review. We're going to preview. I shouldn't say review. That was my bad. So we're going to get into that in just a moment. So, hey, don't go anywhere.